Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Just a quick check-in here. I'm just doing a quick, simple little thing here with maintenance. I'm putting in new spark plugs. So, as I said before, over here, these are the ones I'm taking out. I'm about halfway through, right? It's a simple spark plug job. There's just a 10 millimeter for these guys right here, and then the little studs are 10 millimeters, and it's a little tricky to get these plugs. These things suck super hard. They are terrible. They're so heavy. I found out the best way is you push them down and then get like a flat blade screwdriver like this and kind of wedge over here and just kind of pop them up like that, because otherwise it's way too hard. So I did that. I pulled them out, and I make sure I got my air gun down here, and I blow out the insides before I take the spark plugs out, and then I blow out the cylinders with the spark plugs out so no junk falls in there. And so, like I said before in the other video, on my Golf R, I'd gotten these spark plugs. These are one step colder. They're actually spark plugs from an Audi RS7 that fit in this car fine, and they're actually one step colder, so they're great for when you go tuned and you go higher boost levels. They're great for that. So I got these ones on the Golf R, and I put about, I want to say just under 20,000 miles, somewhere between 15 and 20,000 miles on them. And then I threw them in this car when I got them. I cleaned them up a little bit, threw them in here, and then I've ran them probably 2 or 3 more thousand. So I've got almost probably 20 on them, 20,000. And the reason I did it is normally I think you don't want to go more than about 30,000 on these. And the reason I'm doing them at 20 is I have seen some posts online on the forums, and it's a very rare case that this happens, but there has been rare cases where the little electrode tip over here, like this little tiny tip right here, some people are finding that breaking off for some reason, and I don't know why that is. And it is with these RS7. These are by NGK. There's 2 different manufacturers that make these plugs, the Baru ones, and those seem to have some problems too. But the NGK ones are better known for being reliable and good. And some people have been noticing that this little tip comes off in the cylinder, and it can score up your cylinder walls. It can destroy your turbo. It can do a lot of bad things. And I've only seen, 2 or 3 cases of it online, and there's, thousands and thousands of people on there. So it's a very rare case. And it doesn't seem to me like people really have it narrowed down to what could be causing it. And some things people have said is maybe they're gapping them improperly, because out of the box, these things should come gapped at 24 thousandths, 0.024. They should be gapped at from the factory, and you should always check them. That's why I have actually 2 gauges here. I have this kind of coin looking one, and then this little slider, this little slider guy that starts at 20 right there, and you kind of slide it. And I check it with both of them, and all of my brand new ones were exactly on 24, so I didn't have to gap them at all. So and it's the same thing with these old plugs. I didn't have to gap these either. These were all at 24, and I pulled them out. And I just wanted to check with my gapping tool here what these things were at when I pull them out, because sometimes after they've been in for a certain amount of time, they'll open up a little bit here. And they were all right at about 24 or 25, so they were fantastic with the gap still. And, they're not even that bad at all. Like, I wouldn't feel terrible putting these back in because they look fine. Yeah, they look okay. I mean, they look just fine. They've been burning fine. They look great. So, but, I bought these through FCP Euro, and they'll replace, even maintenance items on cars. If you buy them, buy the same kind again if you bought it the first time, and then send these back with the form and pay for shipping. They'll reimburse you. So I'm not paying anything for these other than maybe shipping costs. So I figured after 20,000 miles, just to have a chance to prevent that maybe from happening. I don't know why, and like I said, I don't know why it's really happening with these cars. maybe they're gapping them by, banging them on the table or pushing down as hard as they can or something. Or maybe they're gapping them improperly, and it's, causing a little, like a stress crack here or something like that. I don't know what it could be, but I've had nothing but great luck with these, and now I'm putting in some brand new ones. Same kind. And if you want, I don't know if the part number's on here. Yeah, I think that's the part number right there. So if you want the 1 step colder RS7 plugs, then, and when I got these, I just kind of, I made sure to check the gap on them and kind of take a peek and just see if there was any weird, you know, markings where the strap starts or anything there where they micro weld or whatever kind of welding they do. And it looks fine. I don't know how close I can get focus here, but it looks fine. I mean, they look great and they were all gapped properly. So I've always just put a little bit of this anti-seize on the threads. It's just what I've always done. Some people don't, some people do. It's kind of, you know, whatever you want to do situation. But yeah, so I mean, this didn't really warrant a big video, but I just wanted to document that I am swapping these out at about 20,000 miles on them for some brand new ones, just to make sure everything's running freshy fresh. And all of my boots here are doing great still. I haven't wrecked any of them taking them out, so that's a plus. I have one more left to do, but, and then when I do these, I do also have, let me see if I can find it here. There it is. I do have some dielectric grease, just to kind of keep everything, and that actually also helps with these things sticking, is I'll take some of this dielectric grease here, and I'll just, you know, squirt it right down, a little bit right down in that hole, and then push it down with my finger, and then that's it. And then it'll kind of help that seal, keep junk out of there, and it makes them a little bit easier popping off this, because then the gel is still in there. So that's what I do for those. And then for torque, I don't really know the torque spec on them. I've probably looked it up before, but I just, I just feel better doing it myself. So I snug them up and then just give them a little bit of a turn. You know, maybe I snug them up tight and then give them maybe like 1/8 of a turn, just a and then that's it. So you obviously don't need a lot. Don't want to strip them. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm just swapping spark plugs, but yeah, I think that's it. Well, other than that, the only thing I did do, but I didn't video, is I did take this bumper off. And then if you can see down there, I did remove this plastic piece here that was covering up this direct shot, because the air goes right up here. Sorry, it goes right up here and goes up through here and right into the airbox. And I did take this airbox off, take this off, and then I did grind pieces in like you do with every Mark 7 GTI Golf R intake to allow fresh air straight into that airbox. And I did, for this 2018, this is a facelift one. Let me zoom out a little bit. This is a facelift one. So it was, in the previous generation, I think you could get that plastic piece out without taking off the bumper or anything like that. I think you could actually get the clips out, but this one was screwed in all the way to the edges. One piece, and it screws all the way over here and all the way over here. So you have to pull the whole bumper, which kind of sucked, to take that piece off. Let me see if I still have that piece here. I probably have it somewhere. Oh yeah, it's right down here. So this guy, so this is what went behind here and blocked off that air for some stupid reason. So, and you can see, look, it digs way behind here, behind the bumper and behind the bumper. So you have to take everything off, which kind of sucked. Didn't know that going into it, but I was already into it, so I figured why not do it right. And so that allows the air now to go just straight up here and right up and into that air box, which is fantastic. And yes, as stupid as it sounds, I have noticed a difference. Obviously not from a start, you know, because there's not much airflow going on. But I have noticed a difference at highway speeds in just overall sound. It's a little bit louder, you can hear sounds more, and just the ability you can feel the difference when you're at speed and then you decide to gun it. It's just getting that ram air straight through here, which is fantastic. So that's something else I did. Let me see, trying to catch you up on some little things I've done. Okay, so exhaust. Now, the downpipe, it was way too loud with that resonator delete. It was way too loud, didn't like it. It sounded like garbage. Didn't like the sound of it at all. So then that's when I bought that MagnaFlow resonator I showed you in the previous video. Bought that, took it in, got it welded in. It did quiet it down a little bit by, I would say, like 10 or 15%. it quieted down that raspiness that doesn't sound good at all. It quieted that down, but the thing is, it also quieted down everything else, including the backfires, including just the overall sound. It kind of quieted everything down, which kind of sucked because every other part of it was great. Like, it sounded great, but just when you got into boost and got into throttle, it sounded like ass. So that kind of, I was like, oh, well, it kind of made it a little, so I drove around on it, I pondered some of my ideas of what I can do now to quiet it down, and drove it around for a few weeks. It's fine to drive. It just kind of sounds garbage to me. So I did find, and over here you probably saw it, but this is a full, basically, resonator and rear muffler set off of a Golf R, which, as you know, has the exact same rear case, except for these end pipes here kind of stick out further to clear the bumper. So that doesn't match. But I was thinking I could use this as a template to maybe kind of design my own rear suitcase design, because you can't really buy axle backs, and the ones you can are crazy expensive. So, but I bought it mostly for the resonator. And see, here's the resonator delete pipe that was in there from the factory. And so I took that factory resonator and bolted it, cut it, and then I bolted it right in. And then I just have this now. So I found this off of a guy in my area who went to an APR exhaust or something like that. So I got this, and so I bolted up my resonator. So actually now I have the MagnaFlow resonator kind of in the middle of the exhaust here. And then I have the stock resonator here, and then the stock, just the stock suitcase. So other than that, I'm completely stock, and I did use my OBD11 to keep those valves open all the time. So that's something I did do just to make it a little bit more throatier. But it is, so now after that, it did quiet it down with that. I can't believe how much that little factory resonator does. It's insane how little it is, but it just kills all of that raspiness, every bit of it. It's insane. So it is a lot quieter now. So it is basically, I would think it's a little hair more louder than stock, because it normally, without that MagnaFlow and with just the stock system, it's a good amount louder than stock, but it's really nice. Like, it's a nice sound. But now with that MagnaFlow, it's even closer to stock sound with my catless downpipe. It's crazy that I got this catless downpipe now that makes everything so much louder, but it's quieted it down through those two mufflers, resonator things, so much to where it's basically barely louder than stock. And even I did open up those exhaust valves all the way all the time. So it is a little bit louder now, but it's still pretty quiet. So that got me thinking, if I do want to screw around, I do have this rear muffler set back here. I don't know, I might cut this open and maybe tinker with it, or maybe just take kind of the dimensions and get some pipe bends and make my own, pipe that starts up here and comes down, and then maybe split it into a Y, and then just have two just normal straight through mufflers, because I've pretty much got the whole raspiness and drone taken care of. Like, I don't think that'll come back now with my MagnaFlow and with that stock resonator. I think if I mess with just the rear suitcase muffler, I think it might sound pretty good. And because when I get into some throttle now, you hear that it's a low rumble kind of sound, and it sounds really good. So I think if I mess with the back box now, I think I'll be okay, because I've got that raspiness taken care of right in the middle of the car here. So I might want to screw around and have some fun, just kind of, with some mufflers and whatnot, and see what happens and see what sounds good. That'll probably be something I do next, just to kind of see what kind of sounds I can get out of this, because it is, with the stock resonator now, it is pretty quiet again. So, and I can almost never even hear the backfires, the pops and burbles, unless I'm downshifting hard and that exhaust is hot. And then every once in a while you'll get a loud bang, you get one of the loud ones. But it is nice that it's toned down now. I really like it like this. I might keep it like this because it's a great sound. But as long as I have that, it would be great to be able to, drop the back muffler box and throw in a new one, because it's pretty quick to do. It doesn't take long at all. So it'd be pretty cool to have that ability to go from maybe something stupid loud, well, it won't even be stupid loud, but it'll be louder, to the factory one, which is great. So that's kind of where I'm at with the exhaust. And I'll probably post a video of how it sounds now with this catless downpipe, MagnaFlow straight through muffler, and then the resonator, and then the factory suitcase muffler in the back. So I'm just going to keep plugging away on these spark plugs and get this third one in, and then the fourth one, and then so we should be all good with spark plugs. And as far as and as far as the whole the Haldex work I did a couple weeks ago, with draining the Haldex fluid, pulling out the pump and the screen, and then installing that new rubber seal, torquing everything up. I have checked it. I've been down there, working on this exhaust stuff, and it's still perfectly dry. That little tiny drip is gone now. Everything's clean and dry, and it's been working fantastic. So that has worked great. From the differential change to the differential fluid change to the Haldex pump fluid change, and both of those worked great. So everything's been fantastic with that. So that part I've been loving, and otherwise it's been great. I got about 32,000 miles on this thing now, so it's been running great. So we're going to get these new plugs in and keep going, and I will talk to you guys later.